Hey everybody, coming at you from my gear room. Now today we're going to have an indoor home project video. I'm going to show you how to make custom made Ranger bands. Alright, right now we're in a heat wave. It's like 98 degrees outside, 98 Fahrenheit, which is about I think 36 or 37 Celsius. But the heat index or feels like temperature is like 110 Fahrenheit, or I think it's like 43 Celsius. But anyway, it's just too hot right now to do an outdoor video, and I'm not doing any camping in weather like that. So when the heat wave breaks, we're going to get back outdoors. All right. But in the meantime, I think you're going to enjoy this. Now everybody knows what Ranger bands are. All right. It's these little stretchy little bands that you cut out of a piece of inner tube. Now you can cut them any width you want, but the diameter of them is dependent upon the inner tube they're cut out of. Whether you cut it out of a bicycle tube or a lawnmower tube or a motorcycle tube or a car tube, you know. Well, I have finally figured out a way to make these things custom length with Fastex buckles so that you can actually buckle and unbuckle them. And it's taken a while, and it's kind of hard. It was kind of hard to get into this and get used to it, but I've worked all the kinks out and I know exactly what works best for me for making these things. And so I'm going to show you step by step how to make them. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to show you just a few things and what you need, and then we are going to make some. Alright? Sound good? Let's get going. So let's say this is your typical Ranger band. Now the way that thing works is, like say for example you want to attach a ferro rod to your knife. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to stretch this on just like that, all the way up, nice and tight, just like that. Now that thing is pretty slip resistant, but like I said, it's dictated. The diameter is dictated by the inner tube you cut it out of. So I decided to start cutting out strips and adding the little Fastex buckles. Now you can get these buckles in all different sizes. I think these are 3/8. I bought a whole pack of the 3/8, and then they've got like a 1/2 inch, and then they've got like 3/4 and 1 inch, and then they've even got some that's got whistles built into them for you survival gurus that you like to have an extra whistle. But anyway, you got to have a variety of those things, and then of course you got to have the inner tube, and then you got to have some kind of rubber cement or contact cement of some kind. Some works better than others. And then I have a variety of little clamps that I use, and then you have to have a cutting board, a cutting surface, and a knife. And that's pretty much it. But there's a few tricks to make you successful. Now something for example like this, say you've got a Kydex sheath, Ranger bands ain't going to fit around here if you want to attach a knife. And so what I did is I made 2 small ones here, and I made these the other day as an experiment. These things right here, so you can just unclip them like that, and that's what they look like. They're just little bands with these. Isn't that neat? Now these you have to glue. These small ones you have to glue on each end, just like that. But now these larger ones, you can actually make them adjustable because they've got the dual place underneath there where you can feed it up and over and in. So we're going to make 2 different kinds here. We're going to make one. Now let's say for example, and I'm going to show you how to measure. Let's say for example, this is a K-bar knife. And let's say for example, you want to attach an Altoids 10 for either, you know, like maybe a fire kit, or maybe for those of you that like those little mini survival kits. We're going to make 2 of the small ones for this. Alright, now the way you want to do that is you want to take your measurement with like a fabric tape, like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the total length that you want it to be. Because see, these aren't adjustable. Alright, that says 7.5. Alright, I've wrapped right around it. 7.5. Okay, so we're going to have 2 at 7.5, and but then what you want to do is you want to subtract the amount of your buckle. which seems to be about 3/4. Yeah, about 3/4. Let's see. No, we need to go from there. Let's say 1 inch. Let's say 1 inch because we're going to be going from the mounting edge. So we're going to subtract 1 inch. So we're going to make 2 strips at 6.5 for this for 3/8. All right, so there's going to be 2 of those. Now, the other thing is for like a cook kit. Let's grab these. Now, a lot of times these cook kits, if you don't put them in a bag, the lid will fall off. And it's great to have these things to where you can put things, you know, you like to put things inside these kits, but you want to keep the lid on. So the way I'm going to do this is if I make one for this, if it's adjustable, it'll also fit for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this. And I think I'm going to add 5 inches. Alright, so let's go around here. Alright, so this is going to be, now that's going to be a big one. That's going to be 18 inches. That's going to be darn near the entire inner tube. Look at that. 18 inches. So I want the tail to be, let's make it 22 inches. Alright, so it's going to be 22 inches and 6.5 inches. Now, that's not going to be as easy to cut. And that's why I got to show you the trick that I learned about how to cut this stuff. Alright. So the first thing we want to do is we want to have a starting point. So we're going to take this inner tube, we're going to cut it. Alright. Now, for the short one, let's go ahead and cut 6.5. Now, I've replaced so many bicycle inner tubes recently that I have plenty. Alright, so we're going to cut that at 6.5. Just like that. That's 7. It's because it's got a curve to it. Trim a little off. Flatten it out. Alright, so we got, yeah, it's close enough, 6.5. Alright, the first thing you want to do is these little factory lines along here. You want to go ahead and cut that so that you have a straight line. I'm trying to cut right along that. Just like that. Alright, you can see the inside's all filthy and got dust and stuff in there. Okay, so that's going to be for the 3/8 wide. So let's put that over there. Alright, now we're going to cut 22 inches. And I'll probably wind up making 2 of these, but I'll make one for now on video. Slop this over. We're going to come this way. This is not as critical on the length because, you know, there's going to be some extra. Okay, so there's 22. Alright, so let's cut that. Alright, there's 22. Alright, so we got our 2 pieces. Now what I'm going to do with this, look, what does that say? Kenda. Kenda, made in Taiwan. I hope this wasn't a good tube. So I'm going to cut this right down the middle carefully. Now I'm going to get this cut and then I'll move on to the next section and I'll show you how that's done. Now I don't know what that stuff was on the inside, but I wiped it out with a wet wipe and dried it with a paper towel because I'm afraid that it might affect the glue. Now you would think that you would cut this on a piece of wood, but I have noticed that depending on the wood grain, sometimes you'll be cutting along straight and then the knife will follow the wood grain and mess you up. So what I do is I cut on a piece of plastic, and this is like an old piece of plastic trim. So that's what we're going to use. Now what I do is I take a straight edge of some kind, scale. Alright, let's start with a small one first. Pick the straightest side. What you want to do is you want to lay it down and you want to measure. Okay, now the clip, the little Fastex clip here is 3/8. So what you want to do is you want to measure 3/8 at each end and make sure and not move it once you got it held down. Now you would think that you can just hold it down and just cut. But sometimes this thing slips when you get at the end. So what I do is I put a lot of pressure right up here where I'm cutting. And then I move my hand down. That's one of the tips that I learned, that you got to move your hand down. And see, it even moved down there at the little at the end. But anyway, that's what you want right there. See, I got a little bit of a curly cue at the end where it moved. I mean, you got to keep constant pressure on it. Alright, so we're going to cut 2 of those. I'll pull the camera down real low for this one. I'm just going to push down with my thumb. See, it's pulling the entire thing. There you go. See, that ain't going to win no beauty contest. It got kind of thin there at the end, but it'll work. So now we got to do the hard one. We're going to cut the long one. So this big one here is going to be 3/4. Alright. So now this is the one you got to be careful with, and you don't want to mess too much of this stuff up because, you know, a lot of times you don't have a whole lot of inner tube for this. So you got to be you got to be very careful with your cuts. All right, this is somewhat, now it's a little bit wider right there, but it ain't going to hurt nothing. Alright, so we're going to mash down, make sure it's nice and sharp. I'll mash down as hard as I can. And I'm scooting along, putting a lot of pressure, down pressure. Now you would think you would use your bushcraft knife, but it just seems like these razor blade knives are just so much thinner and work so much better. Alright, I got that amount of it cut off. See, I got that amount, so what you want to do now is you want to move down. So let's move this down where this is all in camera view. Alright, so now we're going to lay. I might make another one of these later, I don't know. Nah, I'll go ahead and make 2. That way I'll get all the gluing done. Alright, so you want to measure 3/4. That's close to 3/4. That's alright, that's 3/4 on the end. See, they're going to have a little bit of waviness to them. Now you can watch as you're cutting, you can see this part moving around sometimes. And you'll know, you can tell, if you'll keep a close eye on it, you'll tell when you're not putting enough down pressure on it. And it's going to move. And be very careful and don't cut your fingers. Now see, it's pulling. It's pulling out here on the end. This was pulling out. See, it's under 3/4 now. Well, it's too late, I've already cut it. It's gotten smaller. I'll make that the tail end. Alright, yeah, that'll be the tail end that I want glue. Alright, so I'm going to cut one more, then I'm going to show you how to do. Now, you know something? If there was a way of marking this with a magic marker, you might be better off cutting it with scissors. Because these things curve real bad. See how bad that thing is curved? And I got to noticing after I cut this one, I measured the other one, and just by some miracle, the line of the inner tube happened to be 3/4, so I cut this one with the scissors. So, the thing you want to do now is this end, is you want to rough it up with a little bit of sandpaper. You want to scratch it up real good. Get a nice rough surface. Getting that weird white off of it that was on the inside. You got to have something for the glue or contact cement to work. Now this stuff that I'm using is called Weldwood contact cement. It's not the best stuff. It's just okay, but it's what I've got for now. The best stuff is Loctite. Makes some in a tube. You get it at Lowe's or Home Depot, or maybe Amazon, but it says vinyl, rubber. Yeah, vinyl and rubber, not plastic. Vinyl and rubber. Yeah, it's the good stuff. So, what you want to do now, oh, and I said that you remember I measured the length minus this. Well, you would think to yourself, well, maybe you need to make it a little bit shorter so that it'll have some stretch. Well, these fold over. That's why you just have to add this. All right. Now, the 3/8 and I think the 1/2 inch are the ones that get glued this way. And maybe the 5/8, maybe. I'm not sure. But the other ones are adjustable. These are not adjustable. These have to be cut to custom length. So, what we're going to do is to make sure that we get this right is we're going to go in and over, and that's what we're going to glue, all right? And then we're going to go in and over, and then I'm going to unclip it so that I know I have my buckles turned right. Okay, so now what you want to do, this stuff, you're supposed to stir it up. Now this stuff right here, you're supposed to put it on. This is, I don't like using the brush on this because it makes kind of a mess. So what I'm going to do, and I don't want to get glue all over my camera, I take a little piece of plastic, and what I do is I dip it in here, and I'll get me a little bit right there. And I rub some on here, and then I rub some on here, a little bit. Put a little bit on here. Try not to get it on the plastic if I can, because this stuff will, it's not good on the plastic. See, I got a little bit on there. Let me wipe it off. These are so small here. Like I say, these are good for like knives and ferro rods and little Altoids tins and things. They're, you know, it's so much easier to do the bigger ones. Alright. Now what you want to do is you want to pull this over and touch it to where it spreads out a film, and then you lift it up. Now this stuff's supposed to tack for 5 minutes. So you're just making it to where the film is thin on each side. So that's got to set for 5 minutes. No more than 15. Alright, so I'm going to sand this and glue it off camera. And then in 5 minutes we're going to put that together and clamp it, and then we'll move to the bigger. Hey, this is a neat little project whenever it's super hot outside. You're not really in the mood to deal with the heat, or maybe the rain, or maybe the snow, or whatever. Now this is just so much easier doing one side and having such a large surface. So we're going to run this in. We'll go double check. Let's see. I'm twisted. See, that's why I just said you got it. What's going on here? Oh, that's the underneath. Okay. Look, I am twisted. Alright, yeah, okay, just like that. Alright, you want to check, make sure that you're gluing it right. Alright, so what we're going to do now, we don't need this stupid little thing here anymore because we actually can use this. So I'm going to get me a little bit of glue on here because we have such a wider surface. Alright, so we're going to put about where we're going to want it. Put a little bit of glue right here and a little bit right here, and then I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to fold it over to kind of even it out, and then I'm going to open that up and I'm going to let that tack for 5 minutes. Now it's been about 5 minutes on these, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over. And it's going to touch, and see, it's already made. It's already got its adhesion. See, so now what you can do is fold it over like this. You could clamp each end if you want to, or you can fold it over like this and clamp it like that. But sometimes the glue squeezes out and it gets together, so let's just go ahead, for the sake of, you know, safety, let's go ahead and clamp these things like this. And you want to leave these for 2 hours. Alright, let's do this other one. Got that folded over. We'll put a clamp on it. Fold that over. And see, it's already pretty much made instant adhesion. Now I don't know how this stuff, this cement, I don't know, this contact cement, I don't know how it's going to hold up in the hot weather. But I guess we'll find out. But I'm 100% positive that that Loctite stuff is some good stuff. So I got the other one ready. On this one, I used a little survival whistle buckle. You can also use these, if you cut them wide enough and use like maybe the 1-inch ones, you can also use these things to attach a bedroll to your backpack. So we can put a little of this glue on here. When I made those others the other day, I got that glue everywhere. It was all over my fingers, all over this. Alright, put a little bit on there. And then we're going to fold it over to even out that film. And then open it up and let it tack dry. Now this other stuff over here, this one is no longer shiny, so we're going to fold it on over. And there we go, instant adhesion. Isn't that cool? I'm going to put a clamp on here. Put a clamp up here. Then we're going to put a clamp in the back. And then it'll be ready in 2 hours. We're going to stretch them out and try them. Alrighty, it has been 1 hour, actually it's been an hour and a half. So let's see how these projects turned out. Alright. Isn't that cool? The uses for these things are limitless. Like I said, you can make them a custom length. Alright, so let's see. K-bar knife, slippery. Painted metal, fire kit, slippery. See? Got your fire implements in there. So, let's see how this thing works. So let's put a band here and one here. Lay that under, just like that. We're going to set that kit on there. Scoot these into place. Now the first one may be a little ugly, because you have to hold that down and clip. There you go. The second one should be easier, and clip. Look at that. Alright, isn't that cool? It works good. You can't move it. Even though this is slippery and this is slippery, you've got the bands holding it. That's awesome. Alright, success number 1. Now let's try another one. We have a Kydex machete sheath. And what do we want to do? We want to put a Kydex Mora, well, plastic case attached to it. Alright, so let's lay this under here. Now the first one will be tricky, and then the second one will be easy. Alright, so we're going to stretch. We're going to pull. Can you see what I'm doing? Pull and stretch. And pull and stretch. There we go. Alright, look at that. Didn't move a bit. Holds perfectly. Because the rubber ain't going to move on this Kydex, and it ain't going to move on this one. I guess the buckles need to be off to the side here, really. Yeah. See, it's kind of hard to move it. You want more rubber touching this. Alright, let's move on. Let's try another one. These are a little bit longer. Let's see. Look, they got a little bit of a curve to them. But it's the same little 3/8 ones. Alright, so let's say that you wanted to make some kind of a little survival kit for the day. Alright, so we got a tarp, some rope, and a Mora. Let's see if we can punch all this together. And click. And click. Look at that. Neat little survival kit. Isn't that cool? And see, and then you could take one of the larger Ranger bands and attach this to the side of a canteen. Now let's move on to the large ones and see how well they work. Alright, this is the one that this part is adjustable. Alright, the larger one. And then it's only fastened on this side. Alright, so let's lay this down. Now let's say that I got my cook kit here. And I want to bring a cup with me. So I think I'm probably going to want to go up inside this bale. And I'm probably going to want this. I'm going to want the rubber on this. So see here? I want this out in the open, not touching anything. So I'm going to pull just a little bit more. And there I am. See? I'm right out here. Alright, now that's not quite stringy enough. So, I mean, elastic enough. So I'm going to pull this just a little. Pull that tail just a little so they got plenty of elasticity, plenty of stretch. So let's stretch this over the top and click. And I want to make sure that I'm in the center line. Look at that. Perfect. Isn't it neat? Alright, let's stack some more stuff up on the other one. Alright, I got my cook kit. This one's a little bit bigger than the other one. A little taller. And then I want like a bowl, plate, whatever. And then I want like a coffee cup. And then I want a Sierra cup. Alright, now, instead of having a modern kit, I got all these components. And I don't want them bouncing around in a pack. So I'm going to put that in there. And then I'll maybe put like my coffee, tea bags, bouillon cubes in there, my fire kit. Put the lid over. Put that in there. And then I'm going to put this on top. And then of course I'm going to lift the bale up right here. Alright, so once again, this is the one that has the whistle on it. You blow in there and it makes a whistle sound. So I'm not going to wake everybody up in the house by doing it. And it's only, the adhesive is only on one side because the other side's adjustable. So let's drop this in here, just like this. Let's raise this up. I'm going to put it right at the corner. Alright, now I'm going past, see? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this through. And see, they're not quite touching. I'm going to pull through just a little more. And then let's lock it down. There you go. Pull that over. I want to pull this over to where I have rubber touching this and the buckle is out into the air. Now I'm offset here a little, so I want to be in the center. I could actually tighten this up just a little more. So let's undo this. And let's pull this tail out a little more. And really get it tight. There we go. Oh, it just slipped. Look at that. Interesting. So let's pull this out. And let's hold it. click it and put it under. I may have to fold that thing backwards. Okay, we're in the center. That should do all right in a pack. All right, see? I think this is great. I love these new things. Ranger bands. So I think it was a success. I think it worked out great. You can pretty much attach anything to anything. And all you need is inner tubes, glue, and some of those little Fastex buckles. And just a little bit of time. It's just awesome. You can attach a fire kit to a knife to a machete. I thought about attaching a Baco to this machete sheath. You can make little survival kits. You can band tarps together. Do all kinds of stuff with your cook kits. The cook kits is the most important thing because it seems like this stuff slides around all over the place all the time. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. I hope you use this trick because this is really a game changer on securing camp and survival equipment. So take it easy, enjoy life, get out when the temperatures are right, and we shall see you in the next one.